Hey guys, Skellington80 here. So we're back for day 19 of 25 Days of Monsters, and if you're just now joining us and this is your first time visiting the series, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. And if you're returning from day 18 and have been watching the series all the way thus far, I welcome you back and hope you enjoy this story. Today's story is about the Lyng Ghost from Afterward by Edith Wharton in 1910. Look at this. Dang, this guy is creepy. He looks just like a guy who really wants to come into your house, but you know full well to not let him in because he's definitely not trustworthy. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. I'm just gonna assume you saw it. Okay. Category, undead. Base of operations, Dorset, England. When? Some say the ghost is always there. Powers, we won't know till afterward. No dastardly deed, no more Ned, and the fear factor is 4, even though that's kind of relative. Every self-respecting old house in England has a ghost. You might think if the dusty old house if you visit the dusty old house called Lyng in Dorset, that no ghost frequents its shadowy corridors. But Lyng does have a ghost, you just won't be aware of it. At least, not till long, long afterward. It's a ghost that you only know about in retrospect. And it doesn't seem to make much sense, but as the locals say, that's the story. Consider the case of Ned and Mary Boyne, Americans who had moved to Lyng after Ned had made his fortune in investments. They both loved ghost stories, and eagerly awaited the day when they would see the ghost of Lyng, or rather the day afterward, when they would become aware that they had already seen it. Lyng was very pleasant, and Dorset was beautiful. The only disappointment in the Boynes' lives was that day followed day, and the ghost they had hoped for never showed. Then, one perfectly ordinary day, a stranger came to see Ned, and Mary let him in. Soon after, Ned and the stranger walked out of the house, and neither was ever seen again. The police searched the countryside, and there was no body, no ransom note, and no trace of Ned at all. Afterward, long afterward, a lawyer came to see Mary. He had explained that Ned made his fortune off by ripping off a man named Robert Elwell. Completely broke, Elwell had taken his life some time before, and the lawyer showed Mary a picture of him. She recognized him as the stranger that had come to see her husband. But that was impossible. Elwell had already died, an ocean away, and was dead the day the stranger came. Then Mary understood the terrible nature of the ghost of Lyng. She cried out in grief, "Oh dear God, I sent him to Ned. I told him where to go." Elwell had come as a ghost and spirited Ned away. Mary had seen the ghost of Lyng after all, but she had not realized it. Not until long afterward. Okay, an end to this. I desire that you bring me no more stories of ghosts, for though I do not believe in such things yet, when one is awake in the night, one is apt, if one thinks of them, to have fancies that give one a kind of a chill, particularly if one open one's eyes suddenly on one's dressing gown hanging in the moonlight between the bed and the window. This is a quote from Nightmare Abbey by Thomas Love Peacock in 1818. So basically the person who said this is a giant wuss and doesn't want to hear any more ghost stories because they don't want to be spooked in the middle of the night because they're a giant wussy. Alright, beyond the book, the Gothic house. Gothic fiction almost always takes place in an old scary manor or decaying castle. The term Gothic actually comes from architecture. Horace Walpole chose to call it the Castle of Otranto, 1764, a Gothic story because of the Gothic design of the medieval buildings that appear in this novel, with their stone gargoyles and stained glass windows and fancy arches. The tale also features haunted castles with secret passages, family curses, and old portraits that seem to come to life, all hallmarks of Gothic fiction. Thomas Love Peacock's Nightmare Abbey, 1818, is a venerable family mansion in a highly picturesque state of semi-dilapidation, with sliding panels and secret passages that would have would have baffled the skill of the Parisian police. Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey, 1818, is a decayed house rich in Gothic ornaments, with high Gothic windows and many gloomy passages. The great spooky Gothic house, though, comes from Edgar Allan Poe's Fall of the House of Usher in 1839. It is a mansion of gloom with bleak walls, vacant eye-like windows, and a Gothic archway leading to many dark and intricate passages. But what's inside is even more terrifying. Roderick Usher, a sickly man with a ghastly pallor to his skin and a cadaverousness of complexion, and his sister Madeline, even more ghastly and cadaverous. In fact, she is so ghastly and cadaverous that she is mistaken for a corpse and buried alive. Yeah, that is not a good way to go. Not a pleasant way at all. Ghosts in Shakespeare. William Shakespeare did not just write plays, he acted in them. And one role that he says he played on stage, that legend says he played on stage, was the ghost of Hamlet's murdered father. This is Shakespeare's most famous ghost, but it's hardly the only ghost he ever wrote. There are also ghosts in Macbeth, circa 1606. After Macbeth has his friend Banquo murdered, Banquo's ghost shows up as Macbeth is about to eat dinner and sits in Macbeth's chair. The table's full, says Macbeth, surprised. Yeah, I'd say surprised is an understatement. But whatever. Julius Caesar, circa 1599. After Brutus kills Julius Caesar, Great Caesar's ghost comes to visit him on the eve of battle. Caesar says he'll see Brutus at Philippi, and sure enough, Brutus goes to Philippi and dies. Richard III, circa 1593. After King Richard kills, a lot of people, you see the pattern here, his victims' ghosts appear before him and one night tell him, one by one, to despair and die. Soon he does. Darn, I flubbed that up. The ghost story that wasn't. In 1898, Henry James released one of his most popular tales, The Turn of the Screw. It tells the spooky story of a governess who learns that ghosts are trying to claim the 2 children in her charge. For 30 years, people read the story and got scared, as readers of ghost stories typically should. Nobody thought there was anything weird about it. But in the 1930s, some readers, including the famous critic Edmund Wilson, started noticing some unusual details. The only person who ever sees the ghost is the governess, and she narrates the whole story, and at times she sounds like she's lying or crazy. What if there were no ghosts? What if she hallucinated the whole thing? And with that, we have reached the end of the video. That noise you just heard a bit ago was my mom coming home from taking the dogs to the groomer and talking on the phone with my dad, and, well, don't get mad at her in the comments. She wasn't trying to purposefully interrupt the show and does not deserve your ire. But that being said, I hope you will return for tomorrow's story, and I thank you for joining me today. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you next time. Bye!